We've been recently dipping our toes into the world of thermal recovery lately, but we don't really know what it is we're actually doing. We know it's good for us, but we wanted to learn a little bit more about the benefits of using hot-cold contrast therapy for longer periods of time and how it might be able to aid us in our acclimatisation for our climate expedition.
Following on last time from our 25-kilometre trail run, we really wanted to look at ways to recover and better ways to acclimatise ourselves to get ready for the cold in our Australian Alps expedition.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting few weeks getting involved with all this sort of stuff. Having Bo and Reese, they're really keen and really excited about it. So that it's catching really. So it's got me a bit more enthusiastic about my health. Having those guys around and they're really excited about it and into it and talking about it. So it's got me all quite enthusiastic about doing it. And I'm glad I've actually jumped in and joined in with them to do it. It's good.
We wanted to learn more from an expert, and since Wim Hof was unavailable, we wanted to get the next best thing. Our mate, Mr. Ben Murphy, to learn more about the process of recovery using hot-cold contrast therapy at his new Holistic Movement and Wellness Centre, Vikasati in Red Hill.
Hello, mate.
Hello. How are you?
Really good.
It's away.
So welcome. This is the sanctuary.
Brilliant.
So we have on our left a hot magnesium pool. Sits at body temperature at 37.5. We have our ice baths in the middle here. They sit at 5 degrees. And then we have the cold pool, which sits at 14.
Oh, wow.
Just behind us here, we just walked past the traditional Finnish hot rock sauna. We've got one of Australia's largest Finnish hot rock saunas. Can fit 24 people in there.
Actually, we did. I poked our head in before. It's massive.
18 square metres. So,
wow.
We thought a lot about that. There's 3 bench seats, and because it's a communal space with a lot of people that potentially can be in there, people can sort of choose their own experience where they want to sit. There's a 20-25 degree difference between sitting at the top seat to the bottom seat.
Yeah, amazing.
People are not needing to change temperature based on their preference.
Yeah.
We've very sort of carefully thought out both the pools, body temperature and 14, a lot of the research done around contrast therapy, the hot-cold therapy is done on those 2 temperatures.
Okay.
When doing contrast therapy, you usually do a 2-to-1 ratio. So you look at 8 minutes in the hot pool. If you're doing 8 minutes there, you're looking 4 minutes in the cold pool.
Right.
Sort of a minimum 3 rounds. If you're doing anything less than 3 rounds, sort of a bit of waste of time.
Okay.
And then sort of 5 or 6 rounds, anything over that, you're starting to get pretty fatigued. You're probably not needing to spend that long. And then 5 is the ice baths. For most people, that's a pretty stressful environment. If we did ever need to bring it down, which we've done a couple of times before, we do throw some ice in there, but they sit at a chilly 5 degrees all day.
Whew. The climate expedition stuff and all the things that we're trying to explore in that area. And part of the reason why I wanted to get in touch with you today and talk about some of these things was that exposure to different thermal environments or different thermal conditions and what that impact has on the overall health and well-being of somebody. And seeing what those physiological and even emotional and mental changes that happens by short-term exposure, but what might happen across a long-term exposure as well.
We've run 2 of these now. We call them 7-day ice bath challenge. And the challenge is to complete a 3-minute ice bath every day for 7 days. We've obviously got the luxury of having this facility ourselves, so we can come in and use it very frequently. And some people don't get the luxury of, hopping in an ice bath and seeing the continued benefits of doing something daily, or or they're sick of, buying a couple of bags of ice from the servo and throwing it into their bath at home. And what's really interesting, not everyone, there's some people that are already more acclimatized to experiencing this stuff, but for people that have never experienced an ice bath before, the first thing we see, if they've not been trained around how to deal with it through the breath or the prep to do it, is that they hop in and then they let the environment take over and then they jump straight back out. And they can't really deal with something that extreme yet. Day 2 comes along. They've dipped their toes in essentially. Day 2, they come in, they hop in. They might last 10 breaths and then they hop back out. And the feedback we were getting over this 7 days is some people went from literally not being able to hop in on the first day to be nailing a 5 to 8 minute ice bath on day 7. And it just shows that, continued exposure to an extreme environment like the cold or the ice bath allowed that person to build, resilience in their mind, but also their body became more used to the high stress level that the ice bath created. So that's like just some real life, experiences that we see here. What happens when you hop into these extreme temperatures, like adrenaline, cortisol, like extremely high? The body moves into this fight or flight state. Sympathetic system is like fully activated, but it's only a really short-term time frame that they're spending in there. It's like more conscious. They're more consciously spending time in that like sympathetic state. And so what it does for their nervous system, their stress response is, if you think about hopping an ice bath at the start of the day, let's just say, your nervous system and that sympathetic side's got level 0 to 100. Hopping an ice bath is probably going to almost push it red line up to 100 in the morning. The rest of the day, how often are you going to get to that 100? Probably nowhere close, unless something really dramatically happens. And so because you've stressed your body out in the morning, you've sort of pushed that red line, you've almost got this, like you've pushed the barometer out almost. You're more able, you're used to experiencing that stress. And that's what we find with a lot of people. They're able to deal with other stressful situations in life, whether it be, hot, cold, or whether it be, family, work, different things pop up. And so it's one of the benefits we see from people experiencing like extreme temperatures, either, cold or experiencing longer sessions in the sauna.
And your goal then would be to help train them through that, I guess, fight or flight response that they get when they jump in the ice bath. And would you train them through like the breath work? What do you do there?
Yeah, so in the ice bath, if we can look at it as like the ice bath is external to you. In life, we only have control over what's internal. We don't have control over the external environment. I have no control over what you're thinking of me right now or what you're about to do. I have no control over it. I can't change anything there. My perception, I can change, but one thing that controls a lot of what's going on here is my breath, and that's where we allow and guide clients to start from. So think about this. When people hop in the ice bath, what's the most common thing that people do? They hop in, and they let the external environment take their breath away. So the external environment's controlling them. What happens? And if you just try breathing like that for 2 or 3 breaths, what does it do? It starts to create a stress response. It starts to freak you out. Adrenaline, cortisol go up. What happens if you hopped in the stressful environment and just slowed the breath down? What if instead of big deep breaths up in the chest, short, sharp, you maybe lengthen the exhale? So what we teach is we teach a 6-second exhale through the teeth, fiery exhale, shh, and then a slow breath in through the nose, and then 6 seconds back out. And what this 6-second exhale does is it starts to tell your body that you're safe. When would another time where you breathe really slow? Like sleeping, relaxed, meditation. You're telling your body that you're safe. If you're breathing an exhale of 6 seconds or longer, you're telling the whole internal system that there is no danger, that you're safe. And so what we're trying to teach clients and teach people that experience the ice baths is that you can control your external environment. You've always been able to control your external environment because it's all perception and it's all how you personally show up. And where that starts, what's that first domino? The breath. And so people hop in and it's almost like a meditation. Yes, it's cold, it's undeniably cold. And yes, there's the receptors and everything's creating this like stress response to the body. But what you're doing is you're fighting it and teaching yourself, hey, it's all okay, I'm safe, I'm okay. And people experience, 1, 3, 5, 10 minute ice baths times.
Unbelievable. if we get into the ice bath for that long, what's some of the health benefits that start to unlock from a physiological perspective?
So being in the cold, we have this thing called brown fat. It's like essential fat on the body. Babies have it, a lot more of it when they're born, and it helps regulate their temperature. It helps sort of protect and keep them at an equilibrium essentially. And so continual exposure into the ice bath helps build in adults that healthy brown fat. That's one. We've got things called heat shock and cold shock proteins. Essentially they diminish as we age. So experiencing ourselves in really cold environments or really hot environments helps develop those cold and heat shock proteins. We've got a thing called the mitochondria. It's like a little powerhouse battery in every single cell in the body. Over time, they become more dormant. So they don't never die off, they essentially just turn off. And how do we turn them back on? A lot of different things, exposure to red light, like sun in the morning, sun in the afternoon, exposure to cold environments and exposure to hot environments helps turn those batteries inside every single cell, which is the mitochondria. Someone's tired all the time, not feeling like they don't have much energy, feeling sluggish, feeling sore, feeling aches and pains. It's a really good sign that a lot of stuff is turning off in the body, and so the cold and the hot can help turn those little batteries that are inside every single cell, the mitochondria, back on. And so that goes for the cold and the hot. One big thing we like, and I just talked about before, was like the stress. It's undeniable in modern world that everyone's being, the barometer's increasing, and being able to deal with stress in life, whether that be, work, family, finance, relationships, food, whatever that is. And experiencing yourselves, putting yourself in experiencing really cold temperatures or really hot temperatures is again, as I mentioned before, taking you up to that red line, so that when you come to other situations in life, which should be really stressful, you've already gone way past that point and it's not really feeling that stressful anymore.
All right, so what should we do first then?
Let's jump in the ice bath.
Awesome.
Alrighty, gents. So we're going to do a 2-minute ice bath. We're going to do a 45-second breather. We're doing 3 seconds in through the nose, and a little fiery breath through the teeth for 6 seconds. We'll continue that for 3 or 4 more rounds. We'll take 45. So on your next exhale, we're going to slowly hop in. Take 3 seconds in the nose. Let's hop in. Keep that exhale going the whole time until you sit down in your bum. Down, back in for 3, and then continue your breath, and slow exhale. It's cold.
Bloody hell, it's cold. First thought was like just jump straight back out again. That's what your body wants to do, but you've got to override that, and I think that's the key. Is your mind is overriding the fact that you just want to jump straight back out again and get somewhere warm. And Brisbane's a pretty hot place, so it was not uncomfortable or cold before we got in, but just jumping straight in the 5 degrees, you feel the contrast straight up. Heart starts racing, and you can feel your blood pumping around, but you concentrate on your breathing and telling yourself it's all good and trying to calm that flight response down. And that's, I think, the benefit of it. It makes your blood pump really fast. This is not the first cold plunge I've done, but I did enjoy the cold plunge. But yeah, you've really got to concentrate on keeping your breathing going and not thinking about how cold it is. When you're sitting in there for 2 minutes was pretty challenging. It went quicker than I thought, actually.
Obviously, the water is not freezing at freezing temperature, but 5 degrees was ridiculously cold. Was not expecting it to be as cold as what it was. It's definitely the coldest that I'd been in. So to get in that sort of temperature and to last the 2 minutes, as Ben suggested, I think my body got pretty used to it after a while, but the initial stress response was absolutely there. So I wanted to, that controlled breath definitely helped through the 2 minutes and to get us to the end. Going into the traditional sauna and being able to get that thing right up to about 80, 90 degrees was awesome. To be in there for 30 minutes though, probably the longest I think I've been in a sauna like that at that temperature. So it was pretty interesting to be there and dealing with those sorts of temperatures. It did go pretty quickly though, which was kind of nice because I think we were having some amazing chats and learning really about some of the values and all the things that Ben has around the bathhouse in Vikasati. The actual traditional sauna as well, being one of the biggest in Brisbane, is pretty amazing too. There's so much room in there. We just felt like we could really spread out and really enjoy the sauna as well, but definitely did not feel cramped. I think there was about 5 people in there at one time, and there was plenty of room for all of us to really enjoy it.
So I know we did the ice first, but normally we suggest people start with hot and finish with cold. There's a lady, Dr. Susanna Soberg, the Soberg principle. Lots focused around like metabolic health, but finishing with cold and then allowing your body to try to naturally heat up is really important. Instead of going straight into the cold, and again, it depends what lens you look through around recovery and trying to flush the body, like contrast therapy, a different lens when we're just going hot and cold for. But when you're coming out of the sauna, 85, 90 degrees in here, you then want to hop out and you want to allow the body to try to cool down naturally. You don't want to help assist it on its way.
Yeah, right.
If we're looking through the lens of like metabolic health.
Yeah, right. And look, because we do a lot of work when we're doing a lot of work with our clients, we try to look to how to better prepare, perform, and recover from working in hot conditions. So it's interesting that you say that, like allowing your body to heat up or cool down naturally, because then it forces your body to be able to physiologically to be able to do that. Yeah, I think we'll be able to take some of that information back to what we do. It'll be interesting through the lens of some of our clients that are struggling with this issue for sure.
Yeah.
Getting out of the sauna after being in the cold and then in the hot, your skin feels like it's just different. It's just a nice smooth feeling on your skin, and everything around feels comfortable. You just felt quite alive, actually. Felt quite good. Yeah.
After walking away from the session and all the things that we learned from Ben, I think it is pretty clear that exposing yourself to these new thermal extremes, whether it be in the sauna or in the ice baths or these types of temperatures, is extremely beneficial to overall health and well-being, and will absolutely help in acclimatizing us to other climatic conditions. I do think that it is necessary to do it over a longer period of time and more frequently in order for us to get the best results. So I think that's probably my key takeaway as we go away from this and really start to continue to prepare for our expedition in August.
Just going for a walk or a hike out in the snow probably wouldn't be such a big deal, but the fact that we're camping out in the snow and hopefully going to make a snow cave, but we really want to make sure that we're building our resilience to be able to handle and adapt to that cold while we're there, so we're ready for the challenge.